So here we are at Gardeners World Live, and we kick off with Campanula octopus. Look at those beautiful reflexed petals. Just a perianth, just absolutely gorgeous. That's a great plant. And then this Phagelius rectus Devil's Tears, absolute great plant at this time of the year. And of course it's got a close relative here, Fanfare Wine. We move on to a really attractive fern. You might be familiar with Pteris cretica, but this is Pteris umbrosa. Can you imagine that in a stumpery? It would look just really good, really complement a stumpery. And then we go from the Pteris into another lovely fern. This is one of the shield ferns, Polystichum setiferum, and this one is Herrenhausen, a fantastic little poly shield fern there. And of course they'll grow in dry shade, so a really good plant for dry shade. Then we move on to one of Siebold's collector's items. This was Dryopteris sieboldii. You might know the tree Magnolia sieboldii. He went collecting in China, Siebold did, and he brought back some fantastic plants. And this Dryopteris has got a beautiful wide leaf, great texture. Look at the way it contrasts with the shield fern to the right of it. And then after the Dryopteris sieboldii, we're then into an unusual one, a little bit like sort of like a cow parsley or pig nut. This is Bunium ferulaceum, a lovely little umbel plant, nice and light, allowing plants to pop through it. Moving on to the next one, we have a lovely Trollius. This has been around a while, but Dancing Flame. Look at that. Look at the center sort of petals on that plant, just they're sort of erect, sticking up there, and you've got the intensity of that against that actia in the background, the purple actia. What a fantastic combination that is. Moving on to another great plant, the Sergium heterophyllum. Probably familiar with the Rivulari one, Atropurpureum, but this is another really good Sergium. And then a plant that's not used so widely is a little clover, this Trifolium rubens, and this is Frosted Feathers, or Frosty Feathers, but it just adds a nice little bit of a fastigiate, upright little plant there, nestled in amongst the others. It just provides a little bit of contrast. And after that, we're into one of the salvias. Of course, there's hundreds of salvias we could use. There's Amethyst, there's Caradona, which is some of the best ones. But I quite like this Indigo Series 1. And it just caught my eye, especially against that beautiful sort of rusty sort of Bishop's Crozier that nestled in amongst the planting. And then moving on from that one, we come into another one. This is a lovely one, Salvia Love and Wishes, Serendips. Absolute cracking plant to have in your garden. Just look at that beautiful sort of inflorescence, like a little spike of inflorescence. Again, the salvia's an excellent choice for the garden in the summer. Moving on from Salvia Love and Wishes, we have another lovely fern. I'm a little bit partial to ferns, and this is the beautiful Blacknum Spicant. There are lots of lovely Blacknums, and they just have this really strong, rigid, pinnate leaves, which just add lovely architecture, and it's just breaking up the edge of that little area there. So that's the Blacknums, lovely plant. And then from the Blacknums we move into Indigofera Kirillum, and that's a really nice plant. Yeah, it's sort of a shrubby plant actually. You might know Indigofera as a shrubby plant. We've got one on a sort of a west-facing wall, and so they lose the leaves, but it's just got this lovely foliage. We now move into one or two alpines, and this is a straightforward Saxifraga cotyledon, and it's just a lovely two-tone, two-coloured saxifrage, just, you know, really intense. Look at the size of flower for that little rosette of leaves underneath it. Really impressive on that saxifrage. And then we move on to something a little different, and this is the Hosta Lucky Mouse. What a great name. This is a little tiny hosta, so we're used to big leafed hostas, but there's lots of miniatures, and this is a beautiful little one to tuck away. So Hosta Lucky Mouse. And then we move into another alpine. This time we've got the Freesia laxa. Just a very interesting colour, this sort of peachy sort of colour, just sticking up there. And you can see, if you know Freesia, the plant, you'll recognise this is a nice dwarf little alpine one, which looks really good. And then we're into another quite a popular plant for dry areas. This is the Achillea, and the Millefolium Achilleas. And this one is a really nice one. This is red velvet. Look at the intensity of that flower against the Gilia Gigellina to the right, a little cornflower to the left, and then a little salvia popping through, which sort of links us nicely onto Gillinia trifoliata, or Gillinia trifoliata. Trifoliata, of course, 3 leaves, and then you've got this beautiful white starry-like flowers all over it. And then we move on to a campanula. So this is the Campanula sarmentosa, which is, again, there's so many beautiful ones. There's Elizabeth, the pinky one, really strong bells of flowers hanging down. Looks really good. And then we move on to another little plant, and believe it or not, this is Hordeum jubatum. This is an ornamental barley. This has been around a long time, but it always delivers beautiful pinky green feathery flowers just popping up there at the base of that sort of Macleia, at the base of that Macleia microcarpa. Really looking good there. And there's a Deutzia, possibly Deutzia magician, tucked away in there as well. So moving on from that, we have an absolute classic plant. Look at this one. This is the beautiful Podophyllum hexandrum, spotty dotty. What a beautiful plant this is. Real sort of plants person's plant. One definitely to look out for at Gardeners World Live. Really like that. And then of course we've got a Euchra Black Pearl. This is from the Euchrolex. Great plant. And then we've got the lovely Typha, the little reed mace. This is Typha minima, and a lovely little plant here in the aquatic area. Just nicer than the big reed mace. And we finish here on a Anemopsis californicum, another one just sitting on the water there, but a lovely little spadex kind of in the middle with the petals reflexed, which cracking plant. So those are my top 27. There are loads of others, of course. There's Cornus and there's Eucalyptus, and there's loads of others at Gardeners World, but these are some of the ones that you don't want to miss. Let's have a look at some of the exhibits and look at the highlights of them. So this garden is called Escaping Seasons of the Mind. Garden designed by Lily Matthews, and it's beautiful. Beautiful Cornus causa here on the left-hand side. Lots of steeper throughout the design, but just look at these Corton steel structures as they go round and arc round. It's absolutely fabulous. And the guys here are just doing a bit of finishing touches, and it's all about mental health and well-being, and the central space, how a lot of the time we live indoors. A really clever idea. Look at this, a bit of swag rope taken through the spades and forks. Nice willow bower at the end. So we've got here a beautiful sort of garden. Liz Earle has put this botanical show garden with the nice, look at those beautiful egg-shaped seats to sit on. We've got some eucalypti, then stilted hornbeam, and then we've got a beautiful ammonite shell at the back, and then very nicely planted with white peonies, steeper. Really good. We're at the back of a sort of a cottage garden. We've got this lovely wildlife area, lovely primula there, the candelabra primulas just underneath this beautiful acer, and then we've got ranunculus round the side, the buttercup ones. We've got mentha aquatica, lovely scented mint on the far side. We've got a contorted willow as well, and these beautiful bugloss, lovely hawkbits and toad flaxes. Lovely little wildlife area. So this is the Fontana garden, representing the gardens of Cornwall, and it's a beautiful use of space because If we just look underneath that sort of tree kind of house, well, kind of tree house, not really a tree house, you can see you've got a lovely sort of table and chairs, nice and shaded underneath it. And then typical, we've got echiums, we've got cordylines, we've got trachycarpus, we've got bananas. There's a whole arrangement of plants in this one. Beautiful, Acanthus mollis in the middle there.
He says I spend a lot of room in a cupboard monitoring a television.
This is a really clever garden. This is the Path of Renewal garden, and they've used materials really clever in this one. If you look at the bench there, you can see the way that they've got the sort of metal radiator there on top. Just clever. Look at the way these box section steel, and you've even got some railway sort of track just at the base. And look at the way they've used the scaffold board with the copper piping. Just really innovative, really clever, the way this garden's done. So here it is, the restoration garden is complete, and all we're doing now is going to be waiting for them to judge the garden and to see how we all got on. Just a bit of watering going on there. You can see Jared and Chris